Truck, monkey, combine. See? Truck is monkey. Hello there, Octo here. Swinging in from the Peruvian jungle and making his first ever live action debut, we have Threezero's Rise of the Beasts Optimus Primal. And of course he comes in a nice box that is styled after Hasbro's main line, which I very much dig that Threezero continues to do. Of course, artwork on all sides, as always. It does have a nice Velcro door to open on the box, pretty cool. But we're not here for the box. We're here for this guy, Optimus Primal himself. Where are all the colors? Yes, this is an unfortunate side effect of Rise of the Beasts. There is no color on this guy, unless you want to pay $50,000 for the aftermarket of Threezero's exclusive version. Gotta love Threezero doing that. But, oh well, this is the movie accurate version, and the producers of the movie decided no fun allowed. You gotta have black and gray. But that's not going to stop us from getting a closer look on the details of this guy. And this guy has quite a lot going on. The painting and the sculpting of this figure is phenomenal. The sculpt work on this is just insane. I mean, just looking at this thing, it's very weird. I'm basically just holding the CGI model in my hands. I mean, just starting on the head alone, the detail work on this is insane. It's got a very nice classic look with the face mask, of course. It does have its inspiration from other sources, like Beast Machines, for example, but that more comes into play with the alternate faceplate options. But as it stands, the paintwork on this is insane. He's got a ton of silver paint going on here, and of course the silver speckles throughout to make it look like he's been dinged up over time. He's got some really nice piston sculpting going on with the neck section, which in the movie looks a bit odd, but with that said, it looks quite nice on the actual figure itself. Even the throat and neck are highly detailed. You've got some awesome sculpt work on the chest here, of course, along with the paintwork that makes it look nice, dingy, and muddy. And the silver paintwork on those abs, I mean, it just straight up looks like he's made out of metal. Threezero did an amazing job replicating metal that's rusty. It makes me think that I'm touching metal, even though it's completely plastic. All this lovely detail work going throughout the legs even. I mean, it's just head to toe, he's painted insanely well. I mean, even the feet, for example, are painted in a way that makes them look muddy, as if he's been walking through the jungle. I mean, even the underside of the feet is painted. Like, what other company is painting the underside of the feet? Like, come on. And of course, being a non-transforming figure, he does have a very clean back, which is filled with tons of sculpt work and mechanical detailing, and a fuzzy rear end. He's got a nice plethora of mechanical details hidden throughout back here. Under the layers of armor and everything, he's got tons of nice detail work. And these shoulders just straight up look like gorilla skin. It's very, very cool. It's very nice to touch too. It's made out of a nice pliable material. You'll see that skin texture along his chest, his back, as well as his forearms, and even his legs, which also have a nice combination of fur detailing. Most of the fur detailing is pretty much just kept to the back of him, and it does have a nice subtle brown wash within there, as well as a nice light grayish white thrown in to kind of just replicate that silvery effect that their fur can have. It's a very impressive piece, and it's kind of hard to just describe how much detail work is going on, just because they packed in so much. And this thing has so much detail work going out throughout it, it never gets boring. It's amazing. Always a new detail to look at throughout this thing. Now, in terms of accessories, this guy thankfully does come with quite a few. The first set of accessories is, of course, the alternate hands. He does come with 3 alternate sets of hands outside of the fist ones, those being the dramatic grabbing hands, the resting hands, and the weapon holding hands. But even the hands here are just amazingly sculpted. I mean, look at all that mechanical detail work going on throughout this thing. It looks like these could articulate, but they don't, unfortunately. Threezero is adding that with the upcoming 2007 cast, so thank you for eventually listening to us. But these sculpted hands have some incredible detail work going on, and a nice silver dry brush as well as the gunmetal undercoat. The armor even has like little chips out of it. Even his fingers have battle damage going on, which is pretty interesting, and that battle damage is carried out throughout all of the hands. And the hands, of course, do just pop off of a ball joint, which thankfully is die cast on this figure to prevent breakage. And you just tightly grip the figure and kind of just press on those. I do highly recommend you warm these up first though. Do not just brute force these things out of the box. I do highly recommend using a hairdryer or something to heat the hands up before slapping them on. Otherwise you might break one of these panels over here, and that's not going to be very pleasant. It's not exactly a great section to just hold on to for dear life as you try to force the hands on. But yeah, the alternate hands do wonders for the expressiveness of this figure, especially when he's got the faceplate on. light up eyes from a simple button press, and as you can see, they glow a nice bright green, but of course it might come off as less bright under these lights. They are very small eyes, but I do appreciate that they're very bright. There's no real pupil detail there, but I mean, the eyes are so small, they're basically pupils as it is. And these lights are LR44 batteries, so fairly common across the Transformers world in terms of battery types go. Now, the other feature is alternate face plates, which you get two of. One being a movie-accurate monkey face, which is clearly Beast Wars inspired, but I'm not really a fan of it because it just looks a bit odd. He's a bit too monkey for my taste. And the other face is what we're more used to with Optimus Primal, which is the half-open mouth plate, which I vastly prefer, even though it's apparently either not movie accurate or you literally see it for only a frame. But I'm glad that Threezero threw it in because it is a way nicer face. It captures him perfectly as an actual Optimus Primal instead of just being monkey. The other accessories that are very important are his blades. And these blades are cast in a nice translucent orange plastic with a ton of silver paint, as well as a nice weathering effect over it with nice brownish tinge to it to make them look like they're a bit rusty, which fits with the theme. But yes, there's some amazing sculpt work going on throughout these blades. But as you can see, he can hold them in his hands, and they look very nice on him, if a tiny bit small, although kind of makes sense given that in the movie they pop out of his wrists. Which, funny enough, that is a feature. You can take this armor panel and rock it back onto the double hinge, and there is a slot in here, which you can just take the sword and just plop it in there. And there you go, even Optimus Primal can dual wield wrist blades just like Rise of the Beasts Optimus. Although in this instance, they're underhanded wrist blades, just kinda Assassin's Creed style. He also comes with a chain. The chain itself is a real metal chain, but you pretty much just take this and you slide it into the slot on the sword. Like so, and I really wish that that was die cast because I'm terrified of that snapping. But both of those go in on both sides like so. And I'm not sure it offers you that much displayability, but it kind of gives him a nice Mortal Kombat Scorpion vibe with the sword on a chain that he can throw at someone and then pull back. Pretty cool, but I can't really say I'm going to use the chain all that much. I honestly can't remember if it was used in the movie, but it's a very neat accessory to have. There's also this accessory, which is fully plastic, painted silver, and this piece I really wish was made out of die-cast. I don't know why they didn't make it out of the die-cast, but this is so that you can have a dual-ended sword, and I do recommend caution when sliding that in, because it is a very sketchy feeling. But the entire point is to combine the swords into this weapon. And there you go, has this weapon, which it's a very nice combination gimmick. I just wish the post in the center was die-cast so that I wasn't terrified of snapping it. He also comes with these little black pieces, which are meant to hold the swords onto his back, but I can't get these little bits out to show you, so just imagine that if you actually pluck these things out somehow, he can store the swords on his back. He does also come with the usual Threezero stand, obviously just a nice generic techie base with the giant arm, as well as the extending ratcheted joint. You can of course adjust these things however you want. And for this figure, the stand of course attaches where else but the rear end of the ape. And you can just slide that right in, allowing you to do aerial poses if you so wish. And quick side note actually, I detached the stand and it now has a giant stress mark on the clip. Yeah, that's not great. Now getting into articulation, Threezero was nice and provided a booklet that shows you all of the features and articulation on this guy, so that you're not puzzled as to what moves and what doesn't. And they also provide a booklet on what not to do. For example, to have stuff clashing. So I appreciate them giving this to us so that you know what not to do and what can clash so that you're actually careful with it. Because obviously it is a fully painted piece. You don't want to scratch and damage it. Especially given its price tag. The head can rotate side to side. Pretty good range. It's on a ball joint so you can wiggle waggle it. You can take this collar piece and double hinge it back. And that allows you to have the head look all the way up, like this, which also brings in a neck filler, which is very cool. And he can also look down that far. The shoulder pads can move up and down, like so. And with the butterfly joint, the shoulder can go up about that far, which also opens up the ability to use his swivel, which has a very good range, but be mindful of how thick the arms are so that you're not clashing with anything. And for the elbows, make sure that these panels are slightly lifted, which allows you to straighten it completely, and has a nice double jointed bend that goes pretty much as far as you really need it to, and that allows for all this detail work to be shifting around, which looks very nice. Lots of moving parts in just that elbow joint alone. Love that about Threezero. And of course the wrists have the usual ball joint articulation, so you can just wiggle waggle them all around and swivel them as you need. Now for the torso, he does have a waist rotation both above the abs and below. Only to there, but that's because of all the mechanisms going on inside of it, which includes the lovely ab crunch, which hides the abs inside of there. The plating essentially recedes inside as you bend the abs, which is very nice to see. And that upper joint also allows you to have a nice rocker. And, of course, outside of just the usual Threezero butterfly joints at the shoulders, which are already useful, this guy has moving shoulder plates, which can look pretty ridiculous right here. But on the back, doing that opens up an insane amount of detail on his spine. It's very dope looking. It's a shame that this was hidden on his back, because there's an insane amount of mechanical detailing here. It's very lovely to look at, but it's kind of a shame it's not on the front. And these panels are on double ball joints, so you can kind of maneuver them however you wish. And that ab crunch does allow for working pistons, which is very cool to see. This is just an insane detail that Threezero put in there, and I'm glad they did. It might not be completely necessary, but for the price tag this thing is, I mean, this is just an insanely lovely detail to have. He does have a butt flap that you can maneuver around. The legs are on a double rocker here, which allows them to rock downwards and move all the way up, completely unrestricted. They do have a swivel joint, and for the outwards thigh movement, you want to use these sliders to bring them down, as well as these panels do shift slightly, to allow for the beautiful spread. Now the knees do have these functional pistons here, with a very tight but very lovely double jointed knee. Very good range on that. Lovely sculpt work gets revealed there. Love the shifting pieces and the working pistons, but this is very tight and is kind of terrifying because you're not too sure on where to grip it. Kind of just have to grip the whole leg to make sure you're not damaging anything. And the foot has a ankle rocker, which has a pretty good range, but nothing too amazing. I do wish that Threezero would have deeper bends here. Ankle does move slightly back and a fair amount forwards. And there is, of course, a rotation there. And, again, working pistons on a toe joint. Probably the only Transformer we're ever going to see that has working pistons on his toes. Overall, I'd say that's some pretty darn good articulation on this guy. I mean, pretty much unrivaled. It's one of the reasons Threezero stays on top, I would say. But yes, this is an insane piece with great articulation and some pretty insane engineering for those joints. I mean, there's a lot going on. Here he is next to Threezero's own Rise of the Beast Optimus. Very nice, very accurate, and pretty good scale. It is pretty interesting to see that he's much thicker than Optimus. And here he is next to Takara's Ultimate Optimus Primal. It is pretty nice to see these next to each other, and much more detailed, of course. I unfortunately don't have the Studio Series one to compare with. And here he is next to a Hasbro figure and my previous review, Gears. Now it's time to maximize and get into this guy's transformation. There's no beast mode. Yes, that's right. Despite having Transformers on the box, this guy doesn't transform into anything, which is completely fine. I don't really care. I think people focus way too much on that aspect. Transformers is more than just the transformations at this point. It's more about the character. I personally prefer my figures to still transform, obviously, but it doesn't really bother me that these exist, and I'll happily buy these if I really like the character design enough. But that'll be all for this video, and this is an absolutely masterfully crafted figure that is just perfectly done. With this figure feeling like they've really stepped up their game with not only articulation but just how much stuff is going on with the detail work, and just the fact they have working pistons on this alone is already incredible. Overall, the quality as well is just awesome. The paint doesn't really chip off. I mean, some of the wash will come off on your hands if you absolutely grip or rub it for whatever reason, but overall the paint quality is pretty solid, doesn't come off, and plastic quality is pretty superb as well. This thing's insane. I absolutely love it. The only other criticism I have is just the more drab color scheme, but that's a movie issue. That's not this figure's fault. I would have gotten Threezero's more colorful Beast Wars variant, but they made it an exclusive, so now I just won't get it because it's absurd on the aftermarket. And I don't know, short of someone just randomly dropping it in my lap, yeah, that's not happening. But this has been a very fun figure to mess with, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're mostly into transforming figures and scoff at the idea of a non-transforming figure, I'd say Threezero could pretty easily change your mind. They are very, very nice figures. But, as always, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that lovely stuff. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram, where I will be posting photos of figures just for fun, and to tease my next projects. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.